welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our engagement story. This was another really popular choice when I put some polls on my Instagram stories about which video to do next. Obviously everyone loves hearing a good proposal story, and in my biased opinion ours is one of the best. I love telling this story. I will literally tell it as many times as possible to as many people as possible because it was honestly just the perfect proposal for us, and I think it's just the most magical, perfect proposal ever. I'll start with a little bit of background. So we got together in 2010 and I was pretty much ready for him to propose by the time we went on our first holiday together in 2011. I knew that I wanted to marry him and I knew that I wanted to be with him forever, so I was just ready to get things going. Unfortunately, he made me wait a little bit longer than that, and it ended up being 2014. For about 6 months before that, I'd started sending some less than subtle hints and sending photos of rings that I really liked, one in particular that I absolutely loved. So I made it quite obvious that I would say yes when he did eventually propose to me. We'd been going on holiday with Richard's family to Florida since 2012, and we decided in 2014 to go just the two of us for the first time. This was quite a big thing because obviously it's a long haul destination, it was a long flight, and we'd be spending 2 weeks together, just the two of us, for the first time, 24/7. But I was super excited to go just us and to be able to decide what we wanted to do, when we wanted to do it, and to stay in a Disney hotel for the first time and really be able to soak up everything that all of the parks had to offer. On each of the previous trips to Florida that I'd been on with Richard and his family, I'd made sure to go to a wishing well that's next to Cinderella Castle, and I'd used a 1-cent coin and made a wish in it every time. It was always a wish in some way to do with us and to do with staying together and getting engaged, getting married. It was always something along those lines, and I'm pretty sure he knew that as well. But it became sort of a tradition for us and it became a very special place. So of course we were going to do that on our first trip together as well. Because of our flight time and because we were a little bit delayed, we actually ended up getting to our hotel at about 6 o'clock at night. It had been a long day, but we were both eager to get out to the parks and get the holiday started, which is why I found it a little bit odd when Richard decided that he wanted to start unpacking when we got there. That seemed like a bit of a waste of time to me when we didn't have much of the night left, and we don't normally unpack until the next morning anyway. But I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, fair enough, if he wants to do it, we'll just wait a little bit. It eventually turned out that the reason he wanted to start unpacking wasn't because he actually wanted to unpack, it was because he had the ring in his hand luggage bag and he wanted to make sure he could get the ring out and into his pocket to take with us before I started rifling through his bag and ended up finding it myself. So that's why he was so desperate to unpack a little bit before we went, because he wanted to be able to take it with us. Because it was our first night, we went to Magic Kingdom, and it was going on for about 8, half 8 when we actually got into the park. Our first stop was going to be the wishing well that I've just mentioned, to make a wish. So we headed up towards the path that leads to it, and it was blocked off for the fireworks because that's where they set some of the fireworks off around that area, and it wouldn't be safe to have people walking up and down there, so it was closed off. I was a bit disappointed, but I thought, you know, we've got the rest of the holiday to do it, it doesn't really matter that much. But Richard seemed just as disappointed as I was, which was a bit strange to me, and he actually asked a couple of cast members in the area if they knew when it would be opening back up again that night, if it would be opening again that night, and he seemed more interested than me in whether we were actually going to get to go to it on that specific night. But again, I didn't really think anything of it. So we enjoyed some of our time in the Magic Kingdom, which I'll put a few photos of here now. And then eventually they opened the path up to the wishing well again, and we made our way down for me to be able to make a wish. I did so, but there was a lot of other people around, and people standing there watching the crowds or making wishes of their own, and it was really crowded, so we didn't actually stay there that long, whereas normally we would stand and maybe talk for a bit and look out at the park, but we just made the wish and then left, which Richard didn't really seem very happy about, but again, I must have been completely oblivious because I didn't think anything of it. So we just went to get some food instead. At this point, to be honest, I was starting to get a bit annoyed because Richard seemed to be in a really bad mood. He was really grumpy, he was irritable, he wasn't really speaking much. But I just thought, you know, it's been a long day, we've been travelling a lot, he's probably just tired. But in my head I was thinking, come on, we're on holiday, this is our first holiday to Florida together. Don't start it off by being in a bad mood. I later found out he was just in a bad mood because he was worried about having this ring in his pocket, and his plan kept getting ruined, and we were going on these rides and he was having to make sure the ring didn't fall out of his pocket. But yeah, we'll get to that later. So at about 10 o'clock at night, just an hour or so before the park was closing, we went back up to the wishing well again, Richard's idea. I didn't really understand why he wanted to go back up there when we'd already been and made the wish, but I thought, yeah, sure, why not? Obviously by the end of the night, all these strange little things like him wanting to unpack and him being really curious about whether the path to the wishing well would open back up and him getting really grumpy towards the end of the night, it all started to make sense because it had all been tied into this idea that he had for the proposal. So we went up and there was not one single person there. I was stood leaning against the railing looking up at the castle and watching the sort of light show that was on there and the colours changing. He suddenly started talking to me about how much he loved me, and obviously I knew that we were going to be together forever and all of this sort of thing, and I was thinking this is unusually soppy for what he would normally say. So then I turned round and he was down on one knee with the ring in his hand, the exact ring that I kept sending him pictures of that I absolutely loved, and he asked me to marry him. Obviously I cried, I was in a bit of shock, I couldn't believe that it was happening. I'd hoped that he might do it at some point soon, but I had no clue that he was going to do it on that holiday, and definitely not on our first night. Obviously I said yeah. There wasn't anyone else around, and that was perfect for what I wanted. He knew I wouldn't want a big fuss and lots of people watching. I know a lot of people like to get engaged in front of the castle and things like that, where there's people around to take photos and cheer and clap and all that sort of thing, but that just isn't us. He knew that I would want it to be just us, so that it was more secluded, more special, and that's exactly what it was. It was perfect. So we got a passerby to take a couple of photos of us, which I will put in here now. I also took a photo of my new engagement ring with the castle in the background, but this was back when phones weren't exactly brilliant, especially not in low light, so you can't quite see the castle, but I know that it's there, so that's all that matters. Luckily, I'd thought to have my nails done just before we went on this holiday, so I didn't have any embarrassing nail photos like I know a lot of people worry about. So I'll put that photo in here now. And then we went on to enjoy the rest of our night in the Magic Kingdom. I was basically walking on air for the rest of the night. I couldn't stop looking at my new engagement ring. I kept randomly crying because I was so happy, and I don't even think I really remember getting back to the hotel that night. All I do remember is that on our way past reception, we stopped there and got some of the Disney celebration buttons that they give out for free when you're celebrating an occasion, and they just happened to do engagement ones. So we got 2 of those that we wore for the rest of the holiday. When we got back to the room, the surprises just kept coming because he had arranged a little gift to be laid out on the bed for me when we got back. There was a pink rose with a big pink ribbon attached to it, and there was a gorgeous bracelet in a black box, a silver bracelet, which was absolutely beautiful, that I still wear on special occasions every now and again. And it was just the perfect extra little surprise to finish off the night. Unfortunately, because of the time difference, I had to go to sleep not being able to tell anyone what had happened because everyone at home was already in bed and would be getting up for work, so we couldn't ring and wake them up. But the next morning we woke up early and we phoned our parents, and then we put it on social media to let everybody else know. I then found out that basically all of our friends and family already knew. He got one of his friends to drive him to my mum's house to basically ask for her permission to propose to me, which I just thought was so sweet. My mum's the one that brought me up, so I thought it was really nice that he went and asked her for her permission. Everybody else knew, everyone knew exactly when he was going to do it and what he was going to do, and I can't believe that everyone managed to keep it a secret so that it would be a complete surprise for me. The rest of the holiday we wore our Just Engaged buttons, and it was really lovely because they got so much attention. Everyone was saying congratulations and asking to see the ring. We had loads of really interesting interactions with characters when we had photos took with them, because they were doing fake proposals and taking photos of them looking at the ring, and we actually had a really interesting meet and greet with the characters of Aladdin and Jasmine, because when we were talking to them and saying that we'd just got engaged, Aladdin actually mentioned that he thought a brilliant place to get engaged would be at the Wishing Well next to Cinderella Castle. He had no idea that that was where we'd actually got engaged. It wasn't set up or anything like that. It was just a massive coincidence that that's what he thought would be a lovely place, and that's where it had happened. But it just made for an absolutely amazing holiday, that we got all these wonderful photos and so many congratulations off everybody, and it was just so magical and so perfect. If anyone is a Florida fan or a Disney fan and you're thinking of doing something along those lines, then I would definitely recommend it. It was just perfect, and it's something that I'll remember forever. I'll actually put some photos of our interactions with some of the characters and some of the lovely photos that we got took of just us in here now. And then of course when we got home we got so many lovely engagement cards and presents, and a month or so later we had a brilliant engagement party with all of our family and friends, and I got to relive the story all over again and tell everybody again, and I'll probably be telling this story until I'm ancient because I just absolutely love to tell it. If anyone has any questions about this story, or if you're thinking of doing something like this and would like a bit more information about it, just let me know either in the comments, or if you want to send me a private message on Instagram, that'll be linked below as well. Thanks for watching another video, and I'll see you again in a week's time with a video about my experiences wedding dress shopping. Bye.